Welcome, everyone, to the Revolutionary Man podcast. It's the show where we challenge men to redefine success, to lead with integrity, and to create a lasting impact. And I'm your host, Alain Dumonceaux. And today we're driving into one of the most misunderstood weapons that we can have in our arsenal, and that's discipline. And so allow me to ask you something. When was the last time that you said you'd change and followed through? And what would your life look like if you stopped starting over and maybe instead became the kind of man who finishes? Most men say they want success, but few are willing to do what it takes consistently. Not because they're lazy, because they lack the structure that discipline demands. And here's the cost. It's going to be unfulfilled goals, it's broken promises, and it's a life of drift instead of direction. And so in today's episode, we're going to break it all down, why discipline isn't a restriction, it's actually liberation. And we're going to unpack some myths keeping you stuck and tools to help you forge habits that carry you to where motivation just won't go. And so if you're ready to finally close that gap between who you are and who you're meant to be, then I think this episode is going to be your wake-up call. And if you're serious about mastering discipline and breaking free from inconsistency, I want you to take action right now. Hit that like button, subscribe to the podcast, and drop a comment sharing the one area of your life where discipline just keeps on slipping. It's your engagement that spreads this message and helps more men rise up. So just take 10 seconds, subscribe, comment, and let's keep this brotherhood strong. And with that, let's get on with today's episode.
The average man today is sleepwalking through life. Many never reaching their true potential, let alone ever crossing the finish line to living a purposeful life. Yet, the hunger still exists, albeit buried amidst his cluttered mind, misguided beliefs, and values that no longer serve him. It's time to align yourself for greatness. It's time to become a revolutionary man. Stay strong, my brother.
We've established a challenge and you've asked yourselves the hard questions. And now it's time to dig into the mindset shifts, the systems and the practices that build discipline, not once, but daily. Because disciplined men don't rely on willpower. He builds structure that carries him when emotions fail. And so the first thing I want to talk about is discipline truly is that bridge between ambition and achievement. And so ambition without discipline is like horsepower without a steering wheel, isn't it? Discipline channels our drive into action, in repeated action, and even when the mood fails or fades from us. And so the discipline isn't a punishment. It's actually permission, isn't it? Too often, men are going to hear discipline, and immediately we're going to associate that with restriction and control and deprivation of some sort. But that mindset is rooted in juvenile relationship to responsibility. Now, I know that might be hard to say and hear, but that's what we face, isn't it? And then in reality, what discipline does is it frees us to operate at our best by eliminating chaos and indecision. And so it's the system that's going to truly support our purpose. And so think about it like this. When you have discipline, especially like your morning routine, you're not limiting your freedom. You're actually creating space to think, to lead, and then into execution. So you're not scrambling or not reacting, and you're definitely not apologizing for being late. You're on fire because the world, even all around you, actually wakes up. And so let's reframe discipline from something that we have to do to something that we get to do in order to unlock the man that we were meant to become. And so a calendar, a schedule, a plan, think of it in those terms. It's not really a cage, it's definitely a weapon. Because discipline really separates intentions from results. And so let's get blunt here. Good intentions are worthless without consistent execution. And so many men, me included, live in this cycle of wanting more income, more energy, more intimacy, but we fail to close that loop between intention and implementation. Discipline is the thing that builds that bridge. And so every man has said, I'm going to start on Monday. I'll do better next week after this week calms down. But high achievers just don't wait for conditions to be right. They move with structure, even and especially through chaos. That's how they get results. It's because they don't let feelings set the pace. And so how do I want you to implement this? I want you to choose one goal you've been sitting on. And now ask yourself, what's the smallest daily discipline I can apply that doesn't depend on motivation? Then lock into that piece. Make results non-negotiable by eliminating anything that causes you to have decision-making involved. See, men who master discipline also master their identity. And see, your identity isn't what you say you are, it's truly what you do consistently. And discipline is how you prove to yourself that who you are over and over again. And when you honor your word, especially when no one's watching, you've become a man you can trust. And when you trust yourself, confidence becomes natural. It's not manufactured. And so consider this. A man who's looking to lose 30 pounds, right? Or he's 30 pounds overweight. That's me. And he wants to get fit. That's me. But I keep skipping workouts or making excuses and indulging in whatever is really the easiest format means I'm never going to get there. And so what did I do? I hired a fitness coach, someone that has community, gives me opportunity to stay consistent and accountability built in. Because the problem was for me isn't about fitness, it's about identity. And so when I can attach identity about who I am to my fitness, then I can either be the guy who tries, that's the old Al, not the guy that actually who trains. So this discipline was really that lever that really helps to change the story that was going on in my mind. And so what can you do with this action step? How about every morning start by asking, what does a disciplined man do today? Then act accordingly. Not because that's going to be easy for you, but it's because it's aligned with who you see yourself as. And then each rep, each choice is a vote for you to becoming the man that you've always wanted to be. And so I love Jim Rohn. He's one of my most favorite motivational guys out there. And he says, we must all suffer one of two things. We can either suffer the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And so when I think about the myth of what we've been talking around here is all about this motivation. Because we've been sold this lie that motivation is the key to success. But motivation is truly fleeting, isn't it? And discipline is what remains when motivation completely disappears. And so John Maxwell is also famous for saying motivation gets you going, but it's discipline that keeps you growing. So if we rely on motivation, then it's going to create inconsistency. I know that's what my life looked like, especially around fitness. And so motivation is that spark. It is that piece that gets us up off the chair and gets us excited. It's emotional fuel. And while it can really help to start the fire, it just can't keep it burning. And so the moment that we start to depend on motivation to get us going, we've already lost the game, haven't we? Because motivation is driven by emotion. And emotions are completely unstable, aren't they? And so one hard day or one bad night's sleep, and right away we're off course. So think about it. How many gym memberships have you bought since January? Or maybe you've bought every January. And how long did it take before you abandoned it? Was it February, March, April, May? Is it just keep on paying it and you've totally forgotten? See, that's not the failure of intention. It's a failure of a system. And so high-performing men don't just chase feelings, they're going to chase results. And those results come from discipline and not from hype. And so let's stop trying to feel motivated to do something, and instead let's build some micro-disciplines into our day that we can execute regardless of how we feel or the mood that we're in. And then let's focus on showing up instead of showing off. Discipline will honor your commitment. It's not the emotion that'll do that. And so our commitments then become non-negotiables. And so when we have the discipline and we step into it, then our feelings may want us to opt out. But what does allow us to stay in the game? It says, I don't feel like it, but I'll do it anyway because I want to follow through. See, that's true power and that's true sovereignty. And so one of the most dangerous things or patterns that we can do is waiting for us to feel like doing something, to do something that builds our future. But business calls, hard conversations, workouts, budgeting, the moment that you outsource action to emotion, then we've just surrendered leadership of our lives, haven't we? And so I want you to create a discipline audit. Write down 3 things you often procrastinate because you don't feel like it. Then, once you have those 3, commit to doing those things at the same time every day, just for a week, for the next 7 days. Treat it like it's your mission and not a maybe. Our masculine edge is going to come from routine. It's not going to come from our inspiration, because masculine power is sharpened in the repetition of action. And it's not in waiting for this muse to arrive, or a disciplined man. He just doesn't look for a rush of inspiration. He builds rituals and systems that stack on the victory after victory. And so when life feels heavy, he doesn't have to worry about it, because that's truly how leadership is forged, not just over others, it's especially over ourselves. And so think about the strongest warriors, the CEOs, the fathers, and the athletes that don't have any more motivation than you do. They have routines that make their performance automatic. And while it may not be sexy, it's truly effective. And in a distracted, dopamine-drunk culture, routine is our edge. And so also think about how you can apply this. So establish a personal operating rhythm, a morning routine, a workout schedule, or even set a power hour in your business. You name it. Then protect it and live by it. And treat this as truly your non-negotiable every day. Why do you want to do that? Because you don't rise to your goals. You're going to fall to your systems. And again, we go to Jim Rohn, R-Y-U-N, not Rohn, R-O-H-N. And Jim says motivation is what gets you started, and it's habit that keeps you going. See, discipline isn't just about task completion. It's about energy regulation. It creates mental bandwidth and emotional strength to lead your life with conviction. And so Jocko always says discipline equals freedom. And so a lack of discipline is going to create mental chaos. And so every time we undo a task, or every missed workout, or every time we wait and say, I'll do and get at it later, that becomes a psychological clutter in our mind. It's not just about the missed deadline. It's one more unresolved promise pulling at our mental bandwidth. And so discipline clears the runway. It tells our brain, we're not negotiating today, we're in execution mode. And so look at the most overwhelmed men. Are they truly out of time, or are they out of rhythm? It's because discipline really eliminates decision fatigue. So when your daily rituals are locked in, you free up your energy to lead, to love, and to create. Without structure, our brain just stays in this reactive mode all day long. And so how can you implement this? Build a decision-free zone into your day. Create a consistent morning and evening routine. Make the first 30 minutes and the last 30 minutes of your day automatic. Eliminate choice, and then you can eliminate the chaos. And discipline is going to then also reduce our anxiety, because it's going to build some stability in our lives. Most anxiety doesn't come from what's happening right now. It comes from what's unresolved or unclear. And so when we're undisciplined, then our mind's going to go through this never-ending loop through unfinished business. And when we are disciplined, then we bring structure to that uncertainty. And that's where true power resides. And so think about how calm you feel when your finances are dialed in, your calendar is organized, your training is on point. That's not a coincidence, my friends. That's the result of being consistent. Chaos breeds fear, and discipline breeds certainty, and certainty will ultimately breed peace. And so start with some anchor blocks in your week. Schedule these non-negotiable time for you, your top 3 priorities. Make sure that they're in there, in not just in your day, but also within your week, for health, some purpose, and connection. Because these are going to be the things that's going to come and bring emotional grounding points when no matter how unpredictable life gets, you're going to be you will stay on point. So you don't need another motivational speaker. You need a win. One, then another, and another. That's how confidence gets built. It's not by hype, but it's through follow through. And so discipline is going to create those daily wins, isn't it? And so each time we do what we say we're going to do, we stack another brick in the house of self-respect. Most men don't lack talent or opportunity. What they lack is traction. Traction comes from progress. Discipline gives you that tangible evidence that you're becoming who you said you would be. And that's not just motivation, that's momentum. And so let's start tracking our wins, gentlemen. Let's do that either through a journal or a log, wherever you can check off your daily commitments. Celebrate those reps that you complete, not just as a result of the things that you want, but every box that's checked off is proof that you're no longer the man who talks, but you're going to be the man who acts. And so James Clear tells us that you don't rise to the level of our goals, but we fall to the level of our systems. And we mentioned that a little bit earlier today, didn't we? And so clarity doesn't come from thinking, it comes from doing things with purpose. And discipline will align our mind, our emotions, and our mission. It's not just about our performance. It's going to be about having peace, finally peace in our life. So let me tell you a story about Tyler. He's a 42-year-old husband, a father of two, and a co-owner of a growing construction company. And from the outside, he looked like the man on the rise. He had a decent income, respect in the community, but inside, he felt like a fraud. Every Monday, he told himself he would get back on track. He'd wake up early, train again, cut the junk. He'd get organized, finally start journaling. But by Thursday, he was sleeping in, was missing the workouts, eating convenience store crap, and truly numbing out on YouTube until midnight. And his wife had stopped asking him how his new plan was going because she already knew. And then it was one morning he looked in the mirror and he could see clearly. It was the gut, the tired eyes, the defeated posture. And he whispered to himself, "What the hell happened to you?" It's that same day his 12-year-old son asked if they could train together after school, just like they used to. And of course Tyler said yes, but the guilt was instant. He couldn't remember the last time he'd done anything that modeled discipline. And his son was looking for a mentor, and he felt like a complete hypocrite. It was that night he sat in the garage after everyone went to bed and opened a notebook. And at the top of the page he wrote, "Discipline is how I take my life back." And under it he scribbled, "Wake up at 5 a.m., train 5 times a week, 1 hour of focused work before distractions, no phone in bed, and I intentionally act with wife and kids daily." And so he just didn't know how long it was going to last, this new structure he had put in, but he knew he had to start now. And so the next morning, he beat his alarm. The first rep at the gym was rough, of course, because his body was resisting and his brain negotiated, but something had shifted for Tyler. He wasn't doing this to look good for summer. He was doing it to stop lying to himself. Each early morning meant a win. Each completed workout became proof. He wasn't relying on motivation. He was creating identity. And so his wife noticed first. He was less reactive. Tyler was more present. And his business partner commented on how focused he'd become. And his son, he started setting his own alarm just to lift with his dad that same day. The fire had finally returned for Tyler, not because life got easier for him, but because Tyler got disciplined. And so 6 months later, Tyler wasn't perfect, but he was a lot more aligned. His body was leaner, his calendar was locked in, his marriage and energy was regained, and his son had a man worth following. Tyler didn't change because of a breakthrough, he changed because of a decision. He stopped starting over. He stopped chasing hacks, and he stopped hoping discipline would show up. Instead, he built it. And that became Tyler's legacy. Not just a fitter body or a sharper mind, but a son who learned that real strength isn't loud, it's daily. And so discipline just didn't transform Tyler's schedule, it really rewired his identity. It gave his family a man back that they could trust, and gave him back a life that he respected. And so what are some practical tips for helping us build discipline that truly lasts in our life? And so creating these daily non-negotiables, and we've been talking about that throughout this episode. And so discipline isn't about doing everything, it's about doing the essential things consistently. And so one non-negotiable habit will help build trust with yourself. It's going to create that momentum for you as well. And so it helps us also to be careful, because when we start with making too many changes at once, like 5 a.m. workouts and no carbs, a new planner and meditation, journaling all on day one, then we're going to be burnt out by day 3. And so instead, I ask you just to take one keystone habit, the habit that helps you move the needle in your life. Maybe it is working out. Maybe it's waking up early. Maybe it's writing or planning tomorrow the night before. Whatever that is, just lock that one piece in for 30 days, no matter what it is. And even if you don't feel like doing it, especially when you don't feel like doing it, you can start to build wins. Another strategy to help build this, we can anchor our discipline to a much bigger why. And so we're not just getting up early to be productive. We're doing it because we want to become the man that our wives respect, that our kids admire, and what our future truly demands of us. And so write down a bigger why. What is the reason for you pursuing this discipline? And then post it somewhere that's visible. Say it out loud every morning, maybe before your first task. It could be something as simple as, hey, I get up at 5 because I lead my family. I train because I keep my promises. I plan because my mission deserves some order. Whatever that looks like for you is your key to helping you unlock this next piece. And then build a tactical environment that's going to help support your discipline. We already talked about willpower is pretty weak, especially when it comes under pressure. And so our environment will always win. And so if our space invites chaos, then guess what? Our habits are going to reflect it. And so most of us will make this mistake that we're going to try to resist distraction instead of removing it. And so we keep junk food around, toxic apps or energy draining people close by us. And then we blame ourselves for everything slipping. So why not do an audit? Do a physical, a digital, and a social environment audit, and then remove whatever the temptations are. And so that way you can place friction between who you are, you, and those bad habits. And so think about it. Set up our gym clothes the night before. Use a website blockers to prevent you from scrolling the internet. Silence the phone notifications and protect your space. This is the things that discipline is demanding upon us if we truly want to be serious in our life. And tip 4 is plan our days, or the day is going to plan ourselves. And discipline thrives on structure. And so if we don't command our time, then it will be stolen by distractions, emergencies, or worse yet, somebody else's priorities. And so most of us wake up with great intentions, don't we? And then we wonder why nothing truly gets done. And so every evening, take 10 minutes to plan tomorrow. What is my number one priority? What distractions do I need to eliminate? And where do I need to lead with discipline instead of mood? When we lock these things in, then we can follow it just like a battle plan. And tip 5, stack early wins in the day. The first 60 minutes of our day set the tone for the next 16 hours that we're up. Starting strong, and we're going to feel like a weapon. Start reactive, and we're going to feel like we're chasing the day all day long. And so most of us will make the mistake of getting up and either it's checking our emails, or we're going to be scrolling through social media, or hitting the snooze alarm. So all we're doing is just truly inviting chaos into our lives even before we get an opportunity to take control. And so instead, design a simple, repeatable warrior's hour. Each morning, maybe there's 3-4 actions that help you prime your mind and your body to wake up, rehydrate, to move, to review your mission. Do this daily with no exceptions, because it's that first win that's going to fuel all the rest of the day. And so discipline is built in the dark before the world even sees that we're winning. And so let's start small, let's start early, and let's start now. And so I want to leave you with a few resources and some extra support to help you with this idea of discipline in our lives. And I love James Clear's work, and we did an entire monthly lesson on atomic habits. And why I think it's so powerful, his book, is that it's a modern classic, and it really teaches us what true transformation, that it doesn't come from these massive shifts, but it comes from these tiny little habits done consistently. And so James really outlines how to build a system that sticks, and why identity-based habits are the foundation of building our discipline. And so this is perfect for men who want to start building discipline with small, consistent actions. that allows themselves to compound over time. Jocko Willink is another great read for you out there. Discipline equals freedom. And so he just doesn't sugarcoat it. Jocko's pretty much in your face kind of guy. And it's straight to the punch of what masculine clarity and responsibility is all about. And he really frames discipline as this path to freedom in all areas of our life. And so it's not just for fitness, but it's mental health or mental strength and to leadership. And he says, don't count on motivation. You got to count on discipline. And so that book would be great if you're the kind of person that needs to kickstart into a military grade type of structure with clarity and self-leadership. And so it's that mindset shift for anyone who's still trying instead of executing. And the third book I'd like to recommend for you is by Cal Newport, and it's called Deep Work. And so his focus is on this rare skill that we need in this digital age. And the book lays out a case for eliminating distractions and going deep and focused work that actually moves your mission forward. It's discipline and focus that go hand in hand. And he quote from his book is, clarity about what matters provides clarity about what doesn't. And so this is essential for any of us that are entrepreneurs, the men who need discipline in their professional lives, workflow, and then want to separate the noise from constant interruptions. And so I have a bonus for you. It's a download. It's called the Daily Discipline Blueprint, and it's a downloadable PDF. It's a one-page morning even routine tracker. It's an opportunity for you to create space for your non-negotiables, a weekly reflection questions, and it's got a why statement builder in it. And it has an accountability grid in there to help you stack your wins. And so this is an opportunity for you to get this. It'll be in today's show notes. And so, gentlemen, at the end of the day, discipline isn't punishment, it's a declaration. It's how a man proves himself that the world means something, or his word means something. And it's how we stop drifting and we start dominating. And so every man has ambition, but few build the habits to carry it out. And if we want a life of purpose, we need structure. If you want clarity, you need consistency. If you want legacy, you need discipline. And so here's your challenge. I want you just to pick one principle from this episode, just one, and put that into action today. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Just create it. Prove to yourself that you're done negotiating with excuses. And so if you're serious about transforming your life through discipline, don't just listen. I want you to act. Go to our membership page, members.theawakenman.net, and take our integrity challenge. It's free, it's clear, and it's going to give you a roadmap to align your daily habits with your mission as a man. And because here's the truth. The strongest men don't rely on motivation. They choose discipline, they live with intention, and they lead with integrity. So don't wait for the right time, gentlemen. Let's decide. And I'll see you the next time on the Revolutionary Man podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Revolutionary Man podcast. Are you ready to own your destiny? To become more the man you are destined to be? Join the brotherhood that is the Awakened Man at theawakenedman.net and start forging a new destiny today.